Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast of IJDDC, which is the International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries, the official journal of RSSDI, our very own research society for the study of diabetes in India. We have talked to you before about several different perspectives, different articles, different thematic issues. And today we have a very special guest who is very well published, who's also the associate editor of IJDDC and is a renowned global authority in this field. And it's my absolute pleasure to invite Dr. Ashu Rastogi for this podcast that we are so looking forward to. Dr. Ashu Rastogi is a senior endocrinologist and additional professor at the Department of Endocrinology, PGI Chandigarh, India. His research interest includes cardiovascular endocrinology, diabetic foot complications, and he has several hundred research papers in index journals, including Lancet Diabetes, JAMA Open, Diabetes Care, etc. etc. He's been the recipient of the Young Investigator Award at ACE, USA, the Best Research Award for the from the US Endocrine Society, again the US, the Best Research Award from IWGDF from the Netherlands, so on and so forth. Many such awards also on the Indian soil. He is the Honorary Secretary of the Diabetic Foot Society of India, the Founder Secretary of RSSDI, the Chandigarh chapter, and the Founder Secretary of the Endocrine Society India, Chandigarh chapter. Without much ado, let me welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Puvi, for such a nice introduction on this wonderful morning. And we are proud to be together on this platform for the IJDDC, which is, you rightly mentioned, that it is a journal that we all look upon for whatever is happening, the newer cutting edge insights, the scientific, the literature related to the diabetes, especially that is coming up from the developing countries. And you and me and all of us know that we as a ethnicity, as a race, we are entirely different from maybe West. So we need to have our own data and own research. And fortunately, now we have that journal that is coming up so nicely and is well read throughout.
Absolutely. And I was very intrigued to read your article on the diabetic foot ulcers, the phase 3 study that you published recently, not so long ago, let's say that. But again, I just want to circle back with some basic statistics for our audience. How common is diabetic foot ulcer, occurrence in India? And especially, I know we all go crazy with sending out messages to our patients, for taking extra care, especially during the monsoons and, especially the vulnerable ones. But, overall, if you can give us a gist of what you see and what are the noted numbers across India.
Exactly. So we all know that now India is the diabetes capital of the world, and we are already sitting on 14 crores of people with diabetes. And each of an individual who walks on 2 feet, so we have 28 crore feet to look at. And we know that in diabetes, every feet is at risk of foot ulcers. If I talk about the prevalence of foot ulcers, almost 1 in 3 person who has diabetes will develop some kind of foot complications in his lifetime, which may be a foot ulcer, which may be a deformity, which may be a peripheral arterial disease, a gangrene, or sharp. So this is a huge, huge number, and therefore this topic is very, very relevant.
True, that's very, very true. And what has been the standard of care? I know we always talk about prevention, and our teachers always used to teach us that, in medical schools also when we were training, very clearly, start looking at the patient's feet first before you examine anything else. And that's so relevant when you look at these numbers of, diabetic foot ulcers and, all the other manifestations that we dread so much in our patients. So Dr. Rastogi, if you can, again sort of spell out what is the standard of care and what are the screening, some of the screening methods or investigations that you would suggest.
Absolutely. So, looking at the numbers itself, the scale is huge. And what we need to know is that the screening is the only method or modality how we can prevent it. Because once a patient develops foot ulcer, it's well known and published that the treatment of the complication of diabetes increase by 5 times and even 10 times. And you'll be surprised to know that the most common reason for a diabetic patient to be admitted in the hospital is sepsis. And among sepsis, is a foot ulcer. So therefore, it is said that if we are not looking at the foot, we are missing a lot of complication. And that's why it is said that almost every 40 seconds in this planet, somebody is losing a leg. And that is because of diabetes, because somebody has missed looking at the foot. So we have to start from the primary care, then secondary care and tertiary care. And unfortunately, in the LMICs, low and middle income countries, both all these sectors have to develop because we don't have the trained podiatrists, the trained staff, the trained diabetologists who have been asked to look at the foot and the foot complications. And whether it is American Diabetes Association guidelines 2025, whether it is RSSDI guidelines, all the recommendations, even ESD has suggested that all patients at diagnosis of diabetes should have a comprehensive foot examination as we screen for retinopathy, neuropathy, and nephropathy. And same goes for a comprehensive foot examination. And it's very simple. A comprehensive foot examination, as Dr. Puri was mentioned, the screening is hardly takes 2 to 3 minutes. You have to screen for neuropathy, you have to screen for peripheral arterial disease, you have to look at deformities, and just jot it down, and you can find which foot is at risk, which foot is already having complications which need to be referred and in under a triad system to higher centers, and which foot need revascularizations or maybe amputations also. So the crux is screen and screen right at diagnosis of diabetes. So we need to pull our socks and train our interns, and especially in the medical schools, as Dr. Purvi is rightly mentioning, that we are taught, but later on we forget in this whole mist of stories that yes, what is very important part of the organ system that is involved in diabetes.
And actually, we are really fortunate because this era where Dr. Vijay Vishwanathan sir is our president of RSSDI, his primary interest has always been diabetic foot complications. And he too has, they ran the Save the Feet campaign, and I think we all were part of it. And it really was a game changer in that sense because it taught even, primary care as well as diabetologists, physicians, and endocrinologists, just kind of reminded everybody again that screening is the way to go. So, excellent message, Dr. Rastogi. We appreciate that, and I feel more than the publication, these are the messages we need to get out there in the open. So now coming to the publication, uh, I think you've done the earlier phase studies also with esmolol, right?
So I'll just brief this about that. It always feels good that something is made in India, produced in India, has conceptualization in India, and then it goes to the world. And I proudly say that this is one of the molecule that we have been working on past 8 years, right from mice studies, guinea pig studies in petri dishes. When we were successful, we published this as a preclinical study in Frontiers in Endocrinology. Then, with the proof of concept proven, then we went ahead with the phase 1 and phase 2 study that we again published. And then finally, we went ahead with a nationwide multicentric randomized control study with topical esmolol. And this esmolol, we all know, is only a parenteral drug. So, with the help of a scientist from Pune, we made it into a topical preparation. And then we did this phase 3 study. And I was fortunate to present it in ESD, in ADA, in Germany, and also in EUMA meeting, that is European Wound Management meeting in London, and also in Stockholm. And it was well received everywhere. And therefore, we published this in JAMA. And now in this, the fourth phase, or I should not say the phase 4, but when we were just looking at a data which was published in JAMA, everybody was questioning that how would this molecule work in certain subsets of patients who have anemia? We know that anemia leads to poor wound healing. Subsets of patients who have CKD, again, CKD leads to poor wound healing. A patient who is having hypoalbuminemia, and you know that low albumin is definitely a risk factor for poor wound healing. So what we did a sub-analysis of our data uh, of this multicentric study, which was published in JAMA, and we subcategorized patients who had anemia, hypoalbuminemia, CKD, and poor glucose control defined by A1C less than 8 or more than 8. And to our surprise, we found out that the efficacy of esmolol is same. Statistically, there was no difference whether you are putting this molecule in a patient of diabetic foot ulcer who is having anemia defined as HB less than 10, who was having albumin less than 3, who is having CKD with GFR less than 60, or who is having A1C more than 8. That suggests that this drug works uniformly in all our patients of diabetic foot ulcer with our University of Texas grade 1A and 1B wounds. And most of these patients have plantar wounds with an area of roughly 2 to 20 centimeters square. So this was a good solace. And this we presented in HUMA meeting in London. And then I thought that when I presenting it, then let's push it and let's publish it. And for that, as Dr. Puri was mentioning, that IGDTC, I thought that is the best journal because this thing is coming from India and then it is going to the world. And the best journal that I could think of, which goes to the world and everybody is reading, would read further, especially about the Indian authors and Indian researchers. So IGDTC was my first choice and the best journal.
Fantastic. That is so heartwarming to know. So I'm coming back to some basics because that will give our audience a more understanding into the study that you undertook. So where did the concept of esmolol hydrochloride come up from? And yes, we know that it's a parenteral drug only, but very well you have with the help of the scientists made it into a topical preparation for diabetic foot ulcers. And currently, we don't have too many, to help us. I mean, the standard of care, but we know this is a long drawn process and often a nightmare for surgeons as well as diabetologists taking care of these foot ulcers and the patient itself, because the quality of care, I mean, the quality of life with diabetic foot complications is so low, as we know. So, where did this concept come up from? And a little bit on the basics of
Right.
what else would we do?
Yeah. So this there were some initial papers in 2002 to 2005, mainly on other beta blockers, maybe timolol and other drugs, which have been shown to have antioxidant effect. One, it has been shown to reduce reactive oxygen species. More importantly, it was shown to decrease the aldose reductase, and we know that the pathophysiology of the complication of diabetes starts from aldose reductase. And then it was also shown that it can decrease the ages that are advanced glycosylation end products. So therefore, we were thinking of why not to have beta blocker. But unfortunately, we know that beta blocker have a lot of systemic effects if we give systemically. Therefore, we thought that let's do it and make it a topical preparation because now we want to use it for a foot ulcer. So therefore, we were hitting upon multiple drugs, timolol and other drugs. Then we hit upon esmolol and we did some docking studies that they call. So I am not the right person to talk about docking studies, but pharmacologists at the US, they were hired and then they did docking studies and they found out that esmolol is the best drug which can work topically. And therefore, this came up. And therefore, in our study on mice, we proved that when esmolol is used topically, and when it is used in petri dishes, it significantly reduces the ages, reduces the aldose reductase, and it also helps in migration of keratinocytes and fibroblasts, which we saw on the petri dishes and also in the mice. When we made these mice diabetic, we created a wound in these mice over their paws, and then we applied topical esmolol and showed that it really works. And this was the this enhanced us and encouraged us to do human studies.
This is so very interesting from the drug development point of view also, how most of the discoveries seem to be serendipitous, and this is really fantastic that we hit upon this. And you were able to. I think this is one of the rare examples of something that you, like you rightly alluded to, made in India and make in India, right from the preclinical studies all the way to phase 3 today. What is the approval status of this preparation?
Exactly. So this is approved last year, and it's now already on the shelves and the market. And many of the diabetologists, put surgeons, physicians are already using it. So this is
Yes.
patented, and this patent, fortunately, is being sold to a pharmaceutical company, which has helped us in marketing. And now more than many thousands of patients are already on this molecule.
True, and I've had the fortune of using it as well. But it's a small number as compared to what you have experienced. So, what are the other options that, when you say that you added esmolol hydrochloride preparation to the standard of care? What exactly do we, what is standard of care, and is it really standardized across India?
Yeah, so that's an irony. You're absolutely right. And it is because the lack of knowledge. So a lot of things have come up. We have guidelines, we have recommendations, and International Working Group for Diabetic Food, that is we fondly call it IWGDF, which publishes its guidelines every 4 from the city where we have International Court of Justice, that is Hague in Netherlands, is there. But unfortunately, many of these guidelines are very restricted to the Western literature, because when they synthesize literature, it's mainly the West that is pouring much of the evidence from there. Second thing, these guidelines still have not percolated to our physicians in the LMICs in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and all those countries where we live, and even in Mid East. So the practice is entirely different. What is recommended? And for that, I think we are to be blamed for that, because we and as you and me, who have taken this helm of affairs to train diabetologists, our students in medical schools, and especially the journal, the editors, to percolate the knowledge. So we have to enhance these knowledge into, so that they can do a evidence-based practice, which is already in the recommendations. Now, to coming to a question that what else? What else if not esmolol? So esmolol is already coming up in the guidelines for the management of foot. It will be the standard of care. Now, many things have come up recently, and I just name one or two things, and that is published in Lancet also, and that is already entered in the IWGDF guidelines for wound healing, and that is the sucrose octasulfate dressings, which are known to inhibit the matrix metalloproteinases. And we know that once MMPs increase in the wound, they don't heal. So this is the new thing that have come up, and it's already available in India. And we, as some KOLs, have a lot of experience with these molecules. So we all should do, because we with SGLT2 inhibitors, GLP-1 analogs, so much thing and so forth is coming. But we should come up with these new modalities for treatment foot ulcers also. And one of them is SOS, that is called sucrose octasulfate. We should use it.
Absolutely. Fantastic message again. And I think the key takeaway from this would be that to be aware of the latest developments, do read the journals. IGDDC is one of them, and especially for all the RSSDI members, the access is absolutely free. All you have to do is log into the website and use your login and get the access to this wonderful journal carrying such important information. uh, so now we come back to the study, and you beautifully mentioned, all the subcategories of patients, whether it is anemia or hypoalbuminemia and or even CKD, how the different factors do not impact wound healing by esmolol. I think that is a fantastic takeaway from this, and I agree with you. It's not just aspirational, but today it definitely seems to be the standard of care, and uh, appears that there should be rapid adoption of these practices for better outcomes in our patients. Any particular key takeaway that or uh, what do you think that the next research question should be with respect to this? What are the other perspectives that you have planned to study with this particular product?
Absolutely. So now we are also looking at again getting more insights into how does it work so well in certain subsets of patient, as you rightly mentioned. So we'll be going again back to the drawing boards, and we're already planning a study where we look at the matrix material proteinases and how is it affected by SMLO. And I agree that whenever we think of doing a research question is the most important thing. And research question comes only by reading. And reading means you have to go back again to the drawing boards and the journals, because once a journal ends, they always have a caption that what about the limitations of that study? What the author thinks that he has missed, and probably it can be taken by some other the researchers all over the world. So it boils down that reading is most important, and reading a good journal which is focused on a particular topic that you are interested. And now me and Dr. Purvi is talking about diabetes and diabetic complications. So it's very important and pertinent that we make a habit of reading journals. And why not then IGDDC? This is our own journal with a lot of content from the low and middle income countries. And an associate editor, I'm very happy to say that we are very rigorous in our the review process, and in the selecting articles which have a very the standard methodology. They have a good statistical the methods have been delineated, and the results are backed by all the methods, and experiments have been done, and then only they are published in IGDC. And fortunately, that's why we are getting journal this articles from all across the world. Forget about Mid East like Turkey, China, and even in the Western countries like Europe is also sending articles to IGDC. It's really heartwarming.
That's fantastic again to know that an Indian journal is doing so well. And it's our very own RSSDI official journal. So we need to support it. And definitely, I think through the decades, it has really come of age now. So thank you again for sparing your time. And again, this is urging all the RSSDI members. It's simply to go on the website and log in using your credentials, and access to the journal is absolutely free. Uh, and our editor in chief, Dr. Rajiv Chawla sir, has made sure that his team is so cutting edge. You know, they all have very high standards, not only of the scientific aspects but also of the linguistic aspects. And the review process is very stringently followed, as we hear it from our associate editor himself. So that, besides that, do you think that there are any future plans on this, and what can you share with us with respect
Absolutely.
to the next few months of IGDDC?
You're absolutely right. And when we already have meetings with editors, and we just think of that how we can help our scientific community so that they have more access to all the science that is happening, we should come up to IGDDC. And therefore, we thought of thematic issues, we thought of supplements. And I am happy to say that with the ideas and the vision of our editor in chief, Dr. Rajiv Chavla, we are going to soon launch a supplement in this IGDDC for mainly foot complications and diabetes, and that would be a thorough supplement related to the extensive literature review or systematic reviews, and we'll do meta-analysis also for whatever the evidence is there for the management of diabetic foot infections, non-infected foot ulcers, or peripheral arterial disease, or Charcot's neuroarthropathy of foot, and so on and so forth. And I think that will be a kind of a holy grail for all the diabetologists for management of foot ulcers. This supplement, I think, would be again a game changer for all the practicing diabetologists.
So that's a great message. Stay tuned and do get your access to that. The thematic supplement that we will soon come out with, and Dr. Ashura Stogi will be leading that effort. Well conceived by Dr. Rajiv Chawla sir, and we will keep you updated. Do follow all our social media handles as well, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, or even Facebook, to see all these updates, so that you are well notified of the upcoming issues and articles. So with that, I thank you very much once again, Dr. Ashur Rastogi, for being here with us today and sharing insights on such a uh, on a very important aspect that affects the lives of our people with diabetes, and also for endorsing IJDDC, the International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Puvi, and all the IGDC team.
And I also take this moment to thank Rashi as well as Rahul and the entire team who always support us in a very timely manner with arranging all the logistics and other things around such podcasts. So, thank you again.